Coming up, from planning and anticipating our trips to being in the theme parks, we'll talk about the little things we love at Walt Disney World. Coming up next, from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 695 for the week of April 8th, 2014. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you live from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friend and producer, Dustin West.
Howdy.
Associate producer Sean Thompson, lovely and talented Miss America, Kathy Whirling.
Mrs. America.
Mrs. America.
She's like, I'm available.
And, of course, the lovely and talented Julie Martin, and the lovely and talented associate producer Craig Williams back in the... I thought I was getting his last name wrong.
Can never be sure.
No, I'm slightly diminished after that last show. That took a lot out of me. Craig back in the production nook with his happy face on. I wasn't asking your forgiveness. All right, so this week we're going to talk about the little things that we love about Walt Disney World. It can be easily argued that that Disney is in the details. That it's the reason that those of us who love it so much that we keep going back over and over and over again, year after year. Do so not just because we love the place, but there are those details, those little things that we associate with Disney that we can only get when we're there. And that's what we go back for. And those are the things we remember and take back with us. So I thought that was an interesting choice of topic, Dustin.
Yeah, and I had put a call out to both everybody here at the table and Craig, and also to the people that follow us on Facebook to kind of do this. And now it's not necessarily like little theming details or hidden things like that. It can be intangible things that you love about your vacation, things you look forward to, or it could be some of those details, some of those lesser known things, but it's whatever makes your vacation special at Walt Disney World, things that you look forward to. That's what this is all about.
Well, for most of us, half the fun of a Disney vacation is planning it. Especially, I think those who frequent the boards or watch this show. The reason you're watching the show is that you're planning a vacation or want to be planning a vacation. So talking about some of those little things that got us excited. I know for me personally, this was back in the day when they weren't putting DVDs in the rooms, but we had DVC, and there would be VHSs in the rooms, and we would bring cassette tapes with us, VHS tapes, and record what we call the propaganda channel. We would record that for hours and hours on end, and then at home would play it over and over again. And that was, I would start putting those in when we were getting ready to plan a trip. Kind of just get in the mood, get in the spirit. And then, of course, it was, in the early days before the internet, back when dirt was young, it was getting the brochures and stuff from Disney, calling them up and saying, we want brochure, and they would send them to you. They would send you, this is even, I think, before they were doing the planning videos, to be honest with you. And we would have, all the brochures for the resorts that we were thinking about, and all the different stuff that they would send us. That would be the stuff that would get me, really, really excited. And the planning, the guidebooks, for me, then and even now, I'll stand by this. The unofficial guide, Bob Selinger and Len Testa, the unofficial guide to Disney World is undisputed, in my opinion, the best one out there. And it was all those years ago, too. And that we referred to as the Bible. And there was no websites to go to.
Right.
So all that, great unofficial information I was getting from the unofficial guide. And I would pore over every page of that book multiple times
What I used to do is there's other guidebooks that would release an edition each and every year, and what I would do was I'd get that book every year and literally open both of them up in front of each other, page after page, to see what had changed, to see if anything had changed. You know.
Well, I had practically memorized the books anyway, so the minute I'd get the new one, I'd know. Oh, that's a new paragraph. Because I'd read the other one so many times, I could spot the new.
Talking about the planning books, I can remember the first time we came, we did a AAA charter coming down because we didn't know anything about Disney World. But the next time I came back, the thing that bothered me was I had to stand in line to pick up my rental car. So I wanted to read if somebody had, like a program where you could just go out to the parking lot and get your car. And I said to my sisters, I said, National has this program that if you sign up for it, you can just go right out to the garage and get your car and be gone. And my sister said, we don't need to do that. And I said, okay, fine. So I, went over to National, got my car, checked into Caribbean Beach. I unpacked, and I was at the swimming pool by the time they showed up with their car. So my sisters believed me after that you need to read the book.
Yeah.
Exactly. What about for you, Dustin? What was your...
Well, my family always did the home movies, so every year we'd have a different home movie from our previous vacation, and I'd be watching that leading up to any vacation, which is a bizarre concept to think about. As a child, you're watching yourself, on TV, like as a form of entertainment, really.
No. Behold.
It is bizarre, but also the planning videos, they changed throughout the years, and I enjoyed watching those. And not only the guidebooks, but it seemed like way back when they would do the commemorative, like, coffee table books, like the 10-year coffee table book that would outline with beautiful photographs and paragraphs about each of the attractions and the themed lands and stuff like that. And I still have those. They're at my house right now. I meant to bring them to show them off, but I walked out without grabbing them.
You're fired.
So, but those are the things that I really like doing, before we would head down.
What about you, Sean?
Before, the same things. I always got the books. The unofficial guide we used to read. And also the Birnbaum's official one. It was just full of pictures.
Even then, I could not stomach
That's
that
the one I
because it was.
referencing.
I could tell it was just Disney marketing.
Well, that's all it is. But
it was
the pictures
official.
were nice.
Yeah, great pictures, and because they were the only ones allowed to use pictures in those
Magic
days.
Kingdom was red. Epcot was purple or blue. Everything was color coded.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun reading. It was just like sitting.
I think you're thinking of the Imagineering Field guides.
Yeah, those aren't. This was like Walt Disney World, and there was a cruise line one.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But that's what we would do. And then we would also order the DVDs, and every time the DVD would change, we would try to be the first people to order it so that we could have the DVD, the most current version. I remember the ones, we were all excited when Everest opened because we wanted to get the DVD with the Everest information.
And it had that dude Jake who was really
They
into
had the four
roller
people.
coasters.
There was the guy on the bench. Then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Dave on the bench.
Yeah.
There was the surfer guy.
I think his name was
There was the
Jake.
mom character.
Right.
And then there was the host lady. And
The
it was
Pink Power Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were those 4 tour guides through Disney World.
It was awful, but I loved it.
Oh, yeah,
Very
of course.
Odd. I don't have any memory of planning guides or videos. I came to Disney twice before I moved here, so I don't have any of those planning memories at all. I loved Mickey Mouse, and my parents would buy me anything Mickey Mouse that I wanted, pretty much. I had overalls, shirts, hats, underwear. I mean, anything with Mickey. So I chose one from the Facebook page that I thought sounded kind of like how maybe I would feel. This is from Rachel Witt Walter, and she says, "The sound of my luggage rolling over the tiles at MCO. I know my Disney vacation is about to start when I hear click, 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 click the wheels of my suitcase. It's sweet bliss." And I have to say, that's how it feels for me. But when we come home, because I know exactly what she's talking about, and not every airport sounds like ours. That click, 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 click. I'm like, we're almost to the car. We're almost to the car. Then we'll be home. So,
Kathy, what about you?
It's just, when we lived in Pennsylvania, I was the only one that bothered to look at the guidebooks or whatever. But for me, I think what sold me on it was just to see my family when they came here. The first time we came, it was because, my mother had died and my husband had died. And just to see my kids, having fun and see like the weight of the world be lifted from their shoulders. And every vacation after that, just the fun that we've had, you could forget about life for a while. It was just, it was amazing. That's the kind of stuff that hooked me. But for all these things that everybody liked, I looked at those and went, yeah, and yeah. It's like I could have a list a mile long of things that I think are so great about Disney,
Well, maybe this was a harbinger of things to come. One of my favorite things was to bring people here who had never been here before and then torture them for 6 months before the trip with every detail of what was going to happen when we got here. Because I had, would have the commando plans. But I did that with John. John had only been here once before I met him. He'd only been to Disney once before, and it ended up not being a great trip. So he was kind of like sour on the idea of doing Disney. And I'm like, oh, no, you have to do this. Otherwise, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. And he agreed to do it. And then, of course, once we had the experience together, he got the bug. And, then we would plan the trips together. But, I used to go as far as making, like, again, we're going back in the day now, making, like, little mixtapes for when you could listen to, back in the days before the band, when you could listen to music as the plane was taking off. So there was like a whole tape put together of music that was, supposed to be for the trip. But I was insane with my planning. And when the internet came along, forget about it. This was just a perfect medium for me to put a website together to plan trips. But let's move on to talking about.
Yeah, kind of like once you finally get here, where you're staying, you first go into the hotel, and then just because we're going to break this down into some of the theme parks later, so this is kind of like just that general feeling of being on vacation, in general, and being at the hotel and first getting here. For me, I know the number one thing, because we always used to drive down here, beyond how wonderful that 12-hour car drive was, when you saw those purple road signs. It wasn't for me. It wasn't that big Mickey archway that says "Welcome to Disney World." It was the purple road signs.
Okay.
I loved that, and then once I finally moved down here and was on the college program and I could drive on my own, exploring the property, kind of exploring Walt Disney World property and seeing those places I had never seen. Like we did the other day, I had never been down Bear Island Road and seen some of the more backstage stuff, which portions of it are open to guests.
I can remember the first time when we moved here and I had my car. My kids had driven the car down and we had, like the odds and ends from our house in the car. Mm-hmm. And I pulled up, I'm driving, into Epcot, and I had my vacuum cleaner in the back seat and I had a plant and I felt like, Sanford and Sons or whatever, but I'm like, I can't believe I'm driving my own car at
Kathy's like
Disney.
with her plant or vacuum cleaner. I'm here, I'm moving in. I got a plant, I have something to clean with.
But how cool was that? I got to drive my own car at Disney.
That's awesome.
I remember that feeling. The first day, or the first day after we moved down here, and driving around, in Lake Buena Vista, heading over toward the parks, and realizing I'm not on vacation. I live here now.
Yeah,
that was pretty mind blowing.
Yes,
because every time we'd be here and we drive around, that was all I would think about was, God, it would be so great to live here. But it was kind of one of those pipe dreams that, oh, God, I want that. But you never think it's really going to happen. Mm-hmm. And when it did happen, it was literally one of those dreams coming true. And that feeling of driving around here after you've moved here was pretty cool. I only ever did the drive from New Jersey to Disney once. Never again. That was almost 18 hours. I believe 18 or 19 hours.
Ooh, yeah.
And we did the drive down in one shot, my friend Neil and I, taking turns sleeping. We did 4-hour shifts, but nobody really slept. We were too excited. And that feeling of seeing the road signs and, the markers, when you first pass into Florida.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, we're almost there, not realizing you've got a good another 3 hours ahead of you. Because Florida's a long state. But then, getting onto I-4, and then as you start getting closer and you start seeing like the Orlando road signs for Disney World, and then getting on property and seeing those purple signs.
Yeah, I love that.
And then getting to your hotel, that because there was something, for me, the first time I ever stayed on property was at the Dolphin, and I remember we had a limo pick us up. It was like a big deal. We had a limo pick us up at the airport. And I remember the reveal, turning the corner and seeing the dolphin. I'd never seen it before. And, from, where I was in New Jersey and, just the way I grew up, you don't see places like that. You don't see things like that. And the two of us, it was my friend David and I, and we're sitting in the back of this limousine looking at this thing going, oh, my God. What the heck kind of hotel is this? Oh, my God. And like walking in the lobby and everything larger than life. And for me, the lobby of a hotel, when I do a hotel review, so much of what I'm going to judge that hotel on starts when I walk into that lobby. Yeah. That is my first impression. And even then, before I did hotel reviews for a living, walking in, it just set the tone. It set the tone. So yeah, that feeling of just like kind of walking into the hotel, especially a place you've never been before, you're excited about this trip.
I get excited when I hear knock, 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 room service. That means I don't have to cook.
What else, Dustin?
Yeah, as far as like being like just on vacation in general, I don't know why I like this, but it brings back really good memories. Is after a long day at the parks, falling asleep on the bus. I know that's kind of like you don't want to do that
Creepy.
in a major city or whatever, but I don't know. There's something, you've had a long day and it's just kind of, I'm heading back. The bus driver always turns the lights off and you're heading back to the hotel and bam, I'm out.
Right.
And I also had some people share some of their experiences and the things that they liked on Facebook. Nicole here says, I love taking the time to notice hidden Mickeys. And that's one of the things that's, Disney doesn't necessarily promote in any of their material or anything, but everybody knows it's there, and that's there's a huge kind of following for that. Jeff Retz, and let's see if I can do this correctly. This is what he loves, his favorite little thing. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. And
Good.
Yeah.
Very well done.
yeah, so the
think.
monorail. Yeah, we guess. The monorail. Love that.
It's about all the Spanish I know is when they do the safety spiel and the monorail. That's my extent of Spanish.
I know for your safety is para su seguridad.
Sean, what about you?
Some of the little things that we already talked about at the airport, but just like landing in Orlando and seeing palm trees. Because I always came from the north, so you don't see palm trees. And
No.
so it's the dumbest thing. And now that I've lived here for a few years, I don't really. I mean, I noticed them, but they don't have that same impact. But for me, I don't know. We landed and saw palm trees. They're so exotic. It's like, oh, I'm in the south. It's sunny.
I can't tell you how often I think about that when I go out into my backyard and realize I have palm trees in my backyard, because I used to have that same thing. Oh, the palm trees. That means I'm in Orlando, because apparently that's the only place that have them.
I have a favorite palm. I like the coconut palm.
Yeah.
Are those the big tall ones?
They are, and they're a little thinner, and they usually have like an area where you could see like a lot of green, where it looks like almost like there's a leaf growing really close to the tree. I don't know. I just really like the coconut palm.
I don't know the different types. I know there are, but there's one that's like a huge one. It's got like the leaves go out in kind of this huge circle. That one, I don't know.
And there are some that grow in clusters, and some that just grow like alone.
And then there's the in and out ones that cross. Just like that. But the palm trees for sure, the weather, and then just the ride from the airport. So Magical Express, because that's what we always did. And this is stupid, but the video that they showed you on Magical Express, and they've changed it a few times over the years, but I remember the one that we used to always see when we came on our trips.
I've never done that. Is it more propaganda or what is it?
Yeah,
No,
I've never
but it's
done it.
cutesy. It's like the characters are coming on a trip, and it's different for the ride to the airport and from the airport. So the ride from the airport to the resort is getting you excited. It's all like pumped up. The characters are coming. They're going through a resort. It talks you to about the check-in process and all that stuff. And it's really exciting. And then when you leave, it's really sad.
Everyone's crying on the
Green
bus.
Day playing and
The characters check out of the hotel.
Now
and
it's
everyone's leaving
time
and
to
stuff.
say goodbye.
Yeah. Everyone's in veils. But yeah, that really left a mark on me, the videos.
Okay. What else?
For me, I think everyone feels this way, but the Walt Disney World entrance sign on the road. You kind of mentioned the different color street signs, but
Ferris
the
and Finley
huge
still
marquee.
get excited about
Yeah,
that.
it's exciting. But yeah, that's it for basically planning. And then there's some stuff at the hotels. So
yeah.
I had mentioned kind of the smells of vacation, which is kind of weird, but I think for me, smells are kind of like the number one memory trigger. So you could smell something and then immediately you're taken back to,
Right, exactly.
to what you remember. So these are stupid ones, but like the chlorine of the pool, sunscreen, even like bug spray if you're like...
So you have, every time you open the faucet in your house, you're reminded of going on vacation
Pirates of
because...
the Caribbean.
No, it is a different smell though. Like I know what you're saying.
Oh, for sure. And you mix it all together. So you get a little bit of chlorine, a little bit of sunscreen. All together is the smell of vacation.
Like a witch's brew in the cauldron.
Yeah, it's like perfume. You could make your own scent.
What about you, Kath?
Oh, like I said, pretty much everything. But for me, the first time I went to Caribbean Beach and I saw the palm trees and the sun, because we were saying about the weather. When we lived in Pittsburgh, if we had a sunny day, they would announce it on the news that we were having a sunny day. It was a big deal. And even when I moved here, the first couple of weeks, I was outside doing all kind of chores because I'm like, it's a sunny day. And then I went, oh, wait a minute, it's sunny here all the time. And that, to me, is just...
Not today.
No, not today. But, well, like today, it's like, oh, wow, we're having a Pittsburgh kind of a day. It's a rainy... This would be like a good day to stay home and read a book and, have soup or whatever. And the music at Disney always gets me.
Yeah.
And, I have a lot of CDs with the music on, but I remember when Katie would be on the college program, she'd call and torture me and hold the phone up like at the parade and go, hey, guess where I'm at? And it's like, oh, I want to be there. But the one thing that Katie reminds me of every time we go in Epcot and we go by the fountain, do you remember when there used to be a conductor of the fountain?
No.
Okay. So then this must have been the one and only time. I should have sent you the picture. But there was this guy in like a pink and purple outfit, and he was conducting the
Was he
fountain.
supposed to be there?
I was going to say, it's like an escaped gay mental
the
patient.
home.
Yes, he was. He was, in an official Disney costume. And Katie goes, because Katie had asked me, this was before like I was a Disney expert. And she goes, oh, do they have somebody that does something with that? No, they don't have a conductor. But Katie reminds me of that every time, that there actually was somebody at that stage. That would have been 95, 96.
I've seen them have dancers up there, but I never knew they had a
No,
specific
this guy, I'll send you the
conductor.
picture.
Okay.
I'll post it, that there was a conductor of the fountain.
He was only there for a week, but it was a great week.
Probably. It's been going on for years that she reminds me of that. So some of the comments that people mentioned was the Monorail soundtrack. It's always neat. You've probably heard it 4 million times, but every time you hear it, it's like, oh, wow. Then that was from Kristen Turner. Matt Stacy said 2 things that he really likes is the way Disney integrates music everywhere. It really sets the mood for me. And then quiet time at the quiet pools at the hotel. There's nothing better than a relaxing dip in the pool, a cocktail poolside, and a few minutes in the hot tub.
Sounds nice to me.
Mm-hmm. And that says it.
What about you, Craig?
Pass. I have stuff to say a little bit later on. I don't know. I'm in the minority that a lot of the stuff that I used to like looking through old pictures, going online, doing the trip planning part, even though I didn't plan trips whenever I was like 5 years old. But all that stuff was special then. But now living here, I don't get excited about seeing the road signs anymore.
Yeah,
and
me
all
neither.
that little
I gotta say, it depends on my mood.
Yeah.
But there are times when I'm driving on a property, I'm like, oh my God, I really am here. It's been 17 years.
Yeah.
And I see those road signs, and it is different. It's different than not seeing them. It's different than being on I-4. It feels different. It looks different. It's just different.
Katie and I always have that discussion as we're going through, and she goes, I know, you're going to tell me how lucky we are that we live here. And I said, yes, it's true. We do. But just think of, I always say to Katie, we've lived here now 10 years. If they said tomorrow that we had to move back or move away from here, how would she feel? And she goes, oh, no, that'd never happen. Mm-hmm. So it's like sometimes you take it for granted. Mm-hmm. But you still, this is pretty special that we get to live here.
I said this to Dustin the other day. I'm going to say it to everybody in this room. We get to do things whenever we feel like it that other people are having to save for years to get to experience. Mm-hmm. We can, whenever we want, after this show, we can get into our cars and drive to any one of those theme parks and spend as much time there as we wanted. And I try and remember that. I try and remember that, you know what, I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful that I get to be able to do that. Not only do I get to be able to do that, I get to be able to do it for a living. That's even more insane, that somehow I managed to turn this into a job. And not just a job for myself, but a job for other people too. And so, that's why I like kind of talking about these little details, because it reminds me of that time in my life in particular when the thought of doing any of this was just non-existent. I just could not have wrapped my head around the concept of being able to live here and do this.
Well, as I said to you yesterday when we were doing the tour, that I can remember when I lived in Pittsburgh and people would post stuff on the Diz of pictures of whatever, because like I'm into the details. I like that stuff. And I'm like, oh my goodness, look, they did this or did that the rest of the world probably could have cared less about. That if I ever got to move here, I wanted to return the favor. And I used to post pictures and do all that stuff. And I can remember we moved here the season of the hurricanes, and I took pictures of the tie-down spots in the cement where they would, latch down the carts and things. And I put it up on my, I had an Epson photo account at the time, and I got thousands of hits. And I said to my kids, see, there's other people out there like me that are into the details, that, I could share that with them, that I'm sure all of us, when we were sitting back home, like, oh, there's a hurricane coming. Wonder what Disney does to get ready for this. And I was able to, repay the favor many times over. But how cool it was that, and I've said this too, that I wish everybody who got Disney could be in the parks when we're doing the kind of stuff that we're doing, because it's so cool.
Did anybody else here, when they would come on vacation, ever take some kind of recording device and record what I refer to it as the bush music? Anybody ever do that?
No.
I used to do it all the time. I would have a pocket recorder of some kind and go in at the resort we were staying in, wherever we were, and find the source of the music and kind of trying to be really stealthy about it and put it on record.
Like you were going to get busted for it?
Well, yeah. I was always afraid of getting in trouble. And would sit there for a half hour and try and record as much of it as I could.
I never actually did it, but I would always go online to look for that music.
Yeah.
So I never actually recorded it, but I would go on and search for the background music, the BGM.
And I will guarantee you, listening to me right now, there's at least one person that's done it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You're insane. You're an insane Disney fan if you're recording the bush music.
Yeah.
But that was one of my things. The music, it wasn't just the music. It was the fact that the music was coming out of the bushes. Would just that was something that was so quintessentially Disney. I'd never been any place else that did that. That had this hidden music coming out of certain places and would change depending on where you were and set a different theme for a different part of the park. And but yeah, the bush music. Bush music did it for me. But why don't you tell us what you want to talk about next?
Oh, well, we also have some stuff where you guys want to talk about things in the parks themselves. I know that Craig has some things he had mentioned actually in the parks.
Yeah. So my whole love for Disney kind of in the little things, since I don't love most things anymore, except for Disneyland.
I don't love most things anymore.
No, you just learn to stop loving as you get older. That's what I've learned.
Oh my God.
No, Craig, no. Mm-mm.
Wow, that lobotomy really did some damage.
It did. But for me, it's always walking into the park and realizing that it is living history.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it's living history that can take you to places that some people never get to go, like walking into Adventureland and just getting trapped in that whole tiki atmosphere, and then getting on the Jungle Cruise or the Tiki Room and realizing that some of the animatronics there started this complete revolution to where we are today, and going on terrible rides like Stitch and seeing that animatronic and everything it can do, even though, the ride's bad, but just that knowing that it all started with some of these classic rides, and we still have the chance to go on them. And then you go to Epcot, and all of a sudden you can walk around all these different countries, and you go to Animal Kingdom, you're in Africa, Hollywood Studios, you're in old Hollywood. Like that's what makes it.
You can travel the world.
To me. Yeah, you travel the world. You travel different time periods. You do all that from one place, and that's what's important.
I know, for me in Epcot and World Showcase, I really appreciated the job they did there when I started visiting some of the actual places that are represented there, and how they managed to encapsulate a feeling in a very small space. And I'll tell you, it made me appreciate the job they did, the job the Imagineers did with that.
And Sean, you had some stuff there talking about the FastPass designs and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like some of the little things. Oh, even going back to resorts a little bit, I would love to collect kind of the toiletries, the coasters, the pens, like those little kind of details that.
Pete and I fought over Hotel Del Coronado stuff.
Oh
No
yeah, I fight people regularly.
I have bags and bags and bags of it.
Because you take it home and sometimes you never use it, but it just sits there and it reminds you of, I'll be there again, or I'll remember that trip. And then kind of along the same lines is the Legacy FastPass, the paper FastPasses used to have like unique designs on the headers of them.
Yeah.
And so if you don't use them, I would kind of collect them and then try to get as many as I could because it was so unique per attraction.
I collected them to scrapbook with Taylor. And I would actually ask the cast member, be like, look, we just want to keep it for scrapbooking. I don't mind if
It could be
you
an old
even
one.
just like make a little tear in the bottom of it, whatever. I'm like, can we just please keep it, write void on it? I don't care.
Yeah.
Some would be like, okay, fine. Some were like, no
way,
way.
after
You
collecting.
can't have this. I'm like, fine.
One of our favorite things to do too. Do you remember when Disney had the napkins that were printed with like Disney designs?
Yeah.
And they had silverware, and I know I'm going to get the colors wrong. It was red, yellow, and purple or blue.
Yeah.
But I
All the
used
fast
to
food locations.
Yeah,
right?
I used to take some of those home with us, and then every so often we'd have like a Disney dinner. And I can remember saying that to Katie a couple years ago, and she goes, I still have a set of those.
Oh.
But they don't do that now, so. But that to us was a big deal. We had Disney napkins when we went back home.
Popcorn for me, especially with the kids, they love popcorn. So that's always something that if I smell it, it reminds me of the parade. And
it just tastes better at Disney.
It really does. I actually think it really does. And riding Dumbo with Ferris. It doesn't matter how many times he's been on it. It's always like the first time for him. And it's just so fun to watch.
See, for me in the parks, one of the things that I look forward to every single time I go into a theme park, is finding a piece of merchandise that A, I hadn't seen before, and B, that when I look at it, I know exactly where it's going. Nikki had done a blog last month or the month before about some of the specialized merchandise in the Magic Kingdom, and at Yankee Trader outside Haunted Mansion they had a line of Haunted Mansion stuff, and I picked some stuff up. This is a Madame Leota snow globe that lights up. I took one look at this. It was I must own it.
That is really cool.
I must own it, and I knew exactly where it's going to go on the shelf behind me. And just finding little things like that, that I'm not getting this anywhere else. I'm not going to pick this up in Target. Well, at least not yet. If it sells well, who knows? Finding little things like that, especially in like the art of Disney, finding a piece of artwork, finding something unique that just kind of speaks to me emotionally, that I see it and it happens at Disney all the time.
I feel that way about the World Showcase. I feel like you can find so many unique things in those shops. And Finley loves to collect the cats and owls in Japan. She has every color. It's gotten to the point now where we just, she wants orange, and they don't make orange, apparently. So we started collecting the little teeny Disney, I don't know what they're called. They come in the bag. You don't know what's in them.
Oh, the ones that Teresa
collects them too.
okay.
So we started doing those because she's really into little things, and we love them, and she loves because she doesn't know what she's going to get. So it's exciting opening it and finding out what's in there.
I was really into collecting things that had the different countries' flags on them. So like from each country, a hat, a shirt, whatever, mug, something so that I could have like all the different countries represented in whatever this merchandise collection that I had was. I enjoyed doing that.
No surprise, I collect Figment things. It makes me happy. What can I say?
So let's go. Since I started talking about Magic Kingdom with that,
Yeah.
What about you? What's your favorites of the Magic Kingdom?
I'm going to kind of whittle this down, but because there's so much. One of my favorite things about the Magic Kingdom was that first impression, and it's something that stuck with me for years. I love the attraction posters under the train station at the Magic Kingdom.
It's the coming attractions.
Yes, I love what it means in the theming of the park as a whole, that it plays out like a movie, that you're right, it is the coming attractions. But I love the artwork that's there, and I love that a lot of them haven't changed for years.
Right.
You know, and it kind of reminds me of that. I also love, and this is kind of a bizarre one, but I always think of a good example of this is the queue in Splash Mountain. The fake wooden railings / stanchions that feel more like a rubbery plastic, whatever coating they put over that, it feels more plastic and rubbery than wood. And like you can pick at it with your fingernails. I know that's gross, but I don't know. That always reminds me of vacations in the past. And the other thing that I wanted to mention about Magic Kingdom is, you were talking about smells earlier. The combination of motor exhaust and cheeseburgers reminds me of standing in between Cosmic Rays and the Tomorrowland Speedway. And one time when I was at home, I was not at the Magic Kingdom. I was at this place. It was a McDonald's that was right next to a car auto shop. And it just, since the sense hit me, and I was like, oh my God, it's like being in Tomorrowland right now. I need a cheeseburger ASAP. Yeah. But that's what I like about the Magic Kingdom. That's some of my favorite little things there.
Sean, what about you?
Again, like we talked about the music, but I love how every land and every park has specific components to it. And Craig kind of mentioned this too, but it's a combination of all those things. Like the music is very specific to an area, so you can close your eyes in Adventureland and know exactly where you are, because either the sounds of the music, what's happening around you, like an attraction, or like even like the sounds of people like running by, like Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse is right next to you, or even sometimes even the smells, like the food that you're serving there, or like the landscaping, the flowers, the trees and stuff that's around you. I love that kind of stuff that all adds up together to do that. And you were talking about Tomorrowland, how you have that smell of exhaust and food from Cosmic Rays, which is a horrible combination. I think would make me vomit. But I know exactly what you're talking about. I can picture it perfectly. Yeah. But that kind of stuff I love. And then there's, of course, smaller details, like Main Street has so many small little things. The sound of the voice teacher up in the window, teaching the girl how to sing. Just all that kind of stuff. The phone in the chapeau that you can pick up and hear the conversation.
Is that still there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's probably like 20 minutes long. I've sat through the whole thing. But just that kind of cool stuff.
What is that man doing on the phone? I can just see you sitting there for 20 minutes.
It's an old-fashioned one, so you look like a weirdo sitting there with the...
Well, Kathy, what about you in theme parks? What are some of your details that you...
The mayor on Main Street. I love to move with the music as we're walking through the theme parks, and especially Magic Kingdom. Yes, I do. And Katie goes, Mom, quit that. People know me here. And I went, hey, Katie, there's probably people here that know me, too.
There's probably more people that know you,
Yeah, and if they saw me dancing, they would join right in. But one time...
Or mock you openly, one or the other.
Yes, whichever, but I'm having a good old time. But one time I did get to dance with the mayor on Main Street. And I was just so thrilled that I got, that he picked me to dance with him on Main Street, but there was nobody there to take my picture. So I was sort of sad about that.
So it didn't happen.
Yeah, well, only in my mind. And then the cast member Barbara at Magic Kingdom.
Who's that?
She's PAC, so she leads the parade usually in the afternoon, right?
Well, no, she does a little bit of everything. She drives the cars down Main Street.
Yeah. But she's the dancy lady.
Yeah, she's the dancy lady that you'll see her behind the parades, and she dances. I can remember going down Main Street on Christmas Day in one of the cars that she was driving, and we were singing Christmas carols going down Main Street, and I had tears and everything else because I'm like, this is just so cool. But she is just like the ultimate cast member. And if you say to most people out there, if you say Barbara at the Magic Kingdom, lots of people know who she is. So that's my favorites.
What about you, Jules?
I sort of mentioned most of them. I said popcorn.
Okay.
I remember I talked about Ferris and Dumbo.
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios. It really doesn't. I mean, they love the like. I don't.
Yeah.
That doesn't really hold anything for me. I don't know. I just. It doesn't.
Well, I know Amy Shapiro on our Facebook page said the smell of fire in Spaceship Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a candle at Bed Bath and Beyond or Bath and Body Works. It smells like
That.
That.
The burning room smell. I love was it at Epcot? I think I might be one of the few people that actually likes the taste of Beverly.
Yeah.
My son always.
And
said-
Ice Station Cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's,
My son said it tastes like a licked tire. And my thing to him was, how
I
many
said-
tires have you licked?
I said liquid body odor.
it's
Yeah, I think
bitter
that.
and dry.
Liquid
and-
body odor is the Beverly drink at Ice Station Cool.
The worst little thing in Club Cool is your feet sticking to the floor.
No matter what time of day,
And
no
there's
matter what time
moppers
of
all
year.
the time. They're always mopping that floor, but it's always sticky.
It is always sticky.
There's one that someone mentioned that it's something that I used to love because I wore the perfume. So you know what I'm going to say. Annette Garrett Amsposh loves the smell of Layla perfume in the air in Norway at Epcot. I mean, in the air is okay. When it like comes and like at you at like a wall.
It's full frontal
That's
assault
really not
in the
okay.
store. It's intense.
We took one of the flatties one time, and Gear was in the shop, and they were, spraying it. And he's looking like, "What are you doing?" Because I had put one of the flatties up against his bottle of perfume, and we're like, "Oh, somebody had asked for this," and he was like all flattered that.
Well,
the
at
flatty was
least you
smelling
met
this.
him in Epcot where you could get away from him. I met him on a ship. You
Oh,
can't
I
get off a
remember that
ship.
trip.
Gare, where rainbows come from.
So you were using a flatty as a tester, like
Well, putting it like posing beside the perfume bottle.
Oh, yeah. And Kim Holt. I really liked this one because Ferris and Finley can't ride Soarin' yet, and we're almost there. But she says, taking my son with special needs on Soarin' and having him rock back and forth because he's so happy, while my husband and I have a death grip on him so he doesn't rock off his seat. She's like, he won't. It's all good. I think there really is nothing like going on a ride with your kid, especially if it's the
No.
first time. It's a ride they've never been able to do. There's just like, you just can't experience anything else like that. You really can't.
Yeah.
What else do we have? What else do we want to share?
The Epcot one, Katie, when she did the college program, at night she was in that spot where your dessert party was, but used to be one of the locations for illuminations, and she would always pick like a little kid out of the crowd and like let them like blow out the fire, and it was just so cute watching the little kid because the little kid really believed they
was
blew
blowing
out
out
the
the
fire.
fire.
And I said, just like the Disney would think to do something like that.
Right.
How cool is that?
I think we could probably sit here and talk about these details for hours.
Oh, but I got one before we skip. Dustin has it on here, and this is one I don't know. Okay, you have the spoiler. It's the man in the pink Hawaiian shirt.
well, I don't want to spoil it.
Well, then you got to tell me afterwards what it is because I've never heard that one.
I think most everybody listening to the show would know
What?
what that is.
Where?
No, well, I don't.
In the Disney Hollywood Studios.
Oh.
The man with the pink Hawaiian shirt. It doesn't have to be pink. Brightly colored Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, you mean no?
Just
okay,
in
no.
Hollywood Studios somewhere?
Somewhere, yeah.
Okay, that's
But it's not a
random.
cast
But it might be.
It's a mannequin?
It just reminds me of those little touches that I love seeing year after year at Disney. And even though I've seen him year after year when I would travel with my family, it always surprised me, and I still loved it. Or
gonna
sometimes it didn't
talk.
surprise me.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything
I don't
else?
get it. Something was on here that I don't remember who it was that mentioned it, but looking at cast member name tags, and that's something that I do, and I make a point
Yeah.
when someone is helpful to me to make sure I call them by their first name,
Right, exactly.
especially if they're wearing a name tag. Hello, I mean, obviously they can't call me by my first name, but I like looking to see where people are from because sometimes it could be where you're from, and it's really cool to make that connection. It's a small world after all. That's all I can say. I really enjoy that.
All right. Like I said, we could go on for hours and hours talking about this,
We
but
really
we're not going to. Thanks, everybody, for your trips down memory lane, and thanks to you on our Facebook page for sharing some of your favorite little things to do at Walt Disney World. That is going to do it for our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with you again next time with another edition of the Diz Unplugged. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And remember, stay out of the damn lakes. Have a great week. Take care.